Hello, Rickety video. Today we're gonna take a look at Azumarill XL now in the Open Great League. I finally built my XL Azumarill as this is a Pokemon that I usually never really use. It has been a really good Pokemon for me in the first few seasons of the Go Battle League, but basically since I think season 5 or something, I think 5 or 6, I kinda stopped using it in any team. There were like too many Pokemon that really hard wall this Pokemon, so I was like, not really mine, but we are back here with a very cool team. I wasn't really in the mood of going for Arzu double Ghost, so we're going to go Ghost double Arzu basically, as we also have the Tapu Fini here, which you're only going to be able to get from trades, to be honest, otherwise it's going to be a little bit tricky. But this team worked out so well, as we will see here the opponent going back into the Axis defense there, which means they have another Charmer in the back, and our Marowak can just go to town here, getting the debuff even on the opponent, and we can go for a Shadowbone, and yeah, this is just game over. I only played 2 sets with this, that was already enough for me to see that this team is just very strong. I went, I think, 8-2, so totally fine. This team works really well. I can highly recommend it to you. Very cool team. A little bit tricky to deal with Trevenant if you don't get into the matchup here, and even this matchup can be a little bit tricky as they can go for the bait here and will be able to get to another move afterwards. We're going to go for the bait here as well, as they're gonna let this move go through, which is fine because we should be able to farm down before they can get to another Shadow Ball. There should be a Seed Bomb. And this was it for the Trevenant. As we can see, most likely the Warren coming back in here, Shadowbone comes through. Shadowbone has a 20% chance to debuff the opponent's defense, which we sadly don't get here. We can go into our Tapu Fini, but this match looks pretty tough, to be honest. We're going to shield up this Earthquake as it would KO us actually from this range, I think. And we go for the big bait here with the Surf, as we most likely gonna get the shield from the opponent, which we do get. They can still get to the Earthquake, which will KO us from this range. And this match is going to be a little bit tough. We have the Azumarill here now, as this thing can take any move, but look what we're going to do now. We're gonna do the perfect catch here on our like low HP Marowak with the Earthquake, getting all the damage onto this. We farm up extra. We have now a fully loaded Azumarill. This play rough will KO the opposing Warren, and we see a Sableye in the back. My opponent had enough, and this is going to be a good game there. What a catch there, winning us the game. We see a very good lead for us, but we see also a Vigoroth coming in. XL Azumarill is so much more bulky than the normal Azumarill, as you get, I think, like around 6 more levels than the normal Azumarill, which is amazing. And this is going to give us more bulk to tank those moves way easier, and you're going to see it in this matchup as well. It's kind of unfortunate that they got the extra counter through there. Kind of bad timing by me, but we can just go ahead, go for an Ice Beam here, but they can get to another move. It's fine though. We'll see the Body Slam, we can still tank it. They go for so many moves, and we're gonna get the shield from my opponent here, definitely, as they're going to try to get to another move, as we are going to shield this up, and this is going to be fun. I can go for the Ice Beam now. We have like 1 HP in a Dream. My opponent has 1 HP in a Dream. They are going to shield this up, and they still die because a charge move that gets shielded does still 1 damage to the Pokemon that uses the shield. And this was enough to KO the opponent, as we see the Scrafty coming in. We perfectly hardwall my opponent now. And this is going to be a good game, as they cannot do anything against this Tapu Fini. Big Moonblast coming through, going to KO this thing, and yeah, like if they want to swap out, like please just surrender here. There's nothing you can do. I'm just gonna let this move go through. They go for a Sky Attack. We can go for 1 Surf, and this should already be enough. Maybe like 1-2 more Water Guns afterwards. But yeah, this is going to be a good game there. Next opponent we're going to see here has 90 hits in the lead. Very good for us, of course. We kind of hardwall this, as we see a Sableye coming in. I kind of misclick here. I wanted to go into the Azumarill, like go into my Tapu Fini, but I think I'm going to be able to win this all the time in the 2-shield scenario, as far as I can see here, because the Water Gun damage just does so much that it's already in like close to red health here right now. We're going to shield up the first move, but I'm not going to shield up the second move, which was a mistake, as it was a return. I should shield this one up as well. We've been able to realign it like this. It's really horrible, but at least we can still farm it down. We can go for a move here, but I'm going to swap out, and we see the Swampert. Basically, we threw the match here by not shielding the correct move on our Tapu Fini. That was kinda bad from us. We should have just went straight for 2 shields. I think I would have been fine, to be honest. But like this, it's game over. Like there's nothing I can do here anymore. I think I even threw the move here. No, I didn't. I can farm it down. But yeah, like what's supposed to happen here right now? We can go for one play rough, which gonna do some nice damage, but they can just go for one Psy Shock or whatever and KO us here, so there's nothing I can really do. I can go for one Ice Beam, get the final shield, but one Psy Shock should be enough to KO me at this range already, so that's going to be a good game to my opponent. Kinda misplayed on my part, but yeah, it's fine. You can't win them all. Next up, we're gonna have the Stunfisk in the lead. That's pretty decent for us. We can stay in for a little bit. We can wait until they try to throw their Earthquake, but we're gonna swap out now into our Tapu Fini as we can bait out the Trevenant, which we really want to get out because the Azumarill doesn't want to face this Pokemon. And Stunfisk is pretty decent to deal with the entire team here, as we can go for a big Moonblast here, KOing this Trevenant. They let this move go through. Bye-bye Trevenant. Tree gets KO'd by this Water Fairy, which is amazing as we see a Azumarill coming in. I thought of going into my Marowak here to just get the Shadow Bone on it, but I then decided to go into my own Azumarill, and this match going to be still very, very close, even though we completely one-shot the Trevenant here. We can go for one big play rough. We're still gonna do some nice damage, but not really enough to threaten anything here. As, yeah, this is basically the main reason why you really want to run the play rough currently on the Azumarill. You can also opt to go for the Hydro Cannon, Hydro Pump. Hydro Cannon Azumarill would be a cool community day, but it's sadly not a move that it can learn. But yeah, like I'm pretty sure that the play rough is kind of needed here, as we can get an Ice Beam off, which going to put this thing, and actually they're going to shield this up. It's fine for me. We can go ahead, shield their moves up here as well. Going to be a Rock Slide. I can go for one big Bone Club here. Going to try to get the final shield from my opponent, but they're gonna let this move go through, as I'm going to shield this up as well now. Super effective Rock Slide. I don't want to get hit by this, and I can farm up extra energy here, and they can get to another Rock Slide. That's going to come down to the wire. I think we're going to lose this match, but I'm not sure. We can go for one Bone Club here. Getting the final shield from my opponent. We still have a Bone Club stored after this. Is one Bone Club enough to KO this Azumarill here? We will see as this Bone Club comes through. And we win this game here. It just barely did enough. Bone Club is a horrible move, like it's really, really bad. But it's a good move to bait, as we see a Trevenant lead where we definitely have to stay in, as our backline seems to be very weak against this Pokemon. We have to just shield it up here. It's always a Seed Bomb. Like, I had this match up so many times already, and it's always a Seed Bomb. They never really throw the Shadow Ball, but if they throw the Shadow Ball, you're kinda screwed, to be honest. So I'm just gonna shield up all the time as we see an Azumarill coming in, and I think I misplay this match a little bit. We're gonna see here the opponent going for play rough, totally fine for me. I'm going to go for the bait because I have 2 shields left, and I don't think they really want to get hit by a Moonblast here. Turns out they really enjoy getting hit by a Moonblast and letting this move go through, as I'm going to go for another shield, getting the play rough against us, as we can go ahead and go for the Moonblast now. Do they want to let this move go through? Do they want to shield it? They're gonna let it move go through, as we see their Ninetales coming in. We can go into our Marowak. It's gonna come down to the wire. We're gonna go for the bait here, which was kinda unnecessary, as we only get to one move anyway. I should have went for this the Shadow Bone, because this would have allowed us to get at least maybe the debuff there for 20%, but we now see the Psycho coming through, going to do some nice damage against our Azumarill, and this game looks kinda tough, to be honest. The Ninetales goes for more Charm. We can go for the Ice Beam to get the final shield, but we have to reach another Ice Beam, and we will be able to do this now. They can swap out in time, and we can KO this alone in Ninetales here. Amazing for us, as we can go into our Tapu Fini, closing this match here with a no bubble serve, winning us this game. Good game to my opponent, and next up we're going to see a battle starting. Is this going to be the opponent with Marowak against Wigglytuff? Seems to be a good matchup. It's actually kind of awkward matchup, but we see a Warren coming in. We can go for a nice bait here. Actually going for the bait, I think they're going to shield this up, and they're going to shield this up, which is amazing for us. We're going to shield this up as well, even though it's most likely bait as well. And we can now go for one Shadow Bone, getting either the final shield or Switch Advantage, which I both take, and we get the Switch Advantage, as we see my opponent going into Stunfisk, I think? No, it was a Diggersby. It was a Diggersby coming in. Definitely doesn't make sense in the team comp as they catch the move on the Wigglytuff from our Tapu Fini. Going for the Surf here, still doing some nice damage, and the Wallagon going to do some nice damage as well, as we can go for another Surf. They're going to try to farm us all the way down here, most likely shielding up this move, which is fine for me because we can still get to one more move here with our Tapu Fini, KOing this Pokemon, and I should go into my Marowak now just to basically get rid of some energy from my opponent, and now my Azumarill can just sweep endgame here as a closer, and I really think that Azumarill's best play right now is a closer in the current meta, because there's a lot of Pokemon that you really don't want to face that you can bait out with other Pokemon, like for example here the Tapu Fini. Like, you kind of don't want to see a Registeel anymore. This is the main reason why you don't really run Hydro Pump anymore, because against Registeel prior it was kind of necessary and made the matchup neutral, while nowadays it's kind of horrible because you still will lose very easily against the Zapkin version of Registeel, which is kind of annoying, so like Hydro Pump doesn't help you at all. We can go for one big play rough here against the opposing Sableye as they're going to shield this move up. Fine for me, we're gonna shield up as well. I don't really want to go shields down because of the big nukes of the Registeel, but I have to realign my Pokemon here. Going for another play rough, going to get the final shit of my opponent, and I'm going to try to get to another Ice Beam in time now, because Ice Beam should be enough from this range. Foul Play comes through, they just go straight Foul Play, but it's not enough to get to a return in time as well, as this Ice Beam going to KO the Sableye. We see here that they would be able to just lock on us down, but they don't do this, which is amazing for us, because we now can go ahead, go into our Marowak, and we see a Mandibuzz coming in. Our Tapu Fini can wall this thing, and we should be in a pretty decent matchup here right now, as the Aerial Ace still does some nice damage, but not enough, and we can go ahead, go for a nice Moonblast here, which I don't actually think KOs him yet. Like, Mandibuzz is super bulky, I don't think it actually KOs, it doesn't KO. You see how insanely bulky this Pokemon is, it can still get to one more move here, but it doesn't really matter too much. We can go ahead, go for one Surf, and then swap out into our Marowak, finishing off this Registeel and winning us the game here. Good game to my opponent, there's nothing they can do more, and they, I think, also decide to surrender here already before this charge move, as you can see now. We will see the next opponent, which might be the final one, where we have a horrible lead here against the Swampert. We can go into our Tapu Fini and go for one Surf as they go for their charge move. It's going to be a Sludge Wave actually, and this is kinda insane because usually you don't really see Sludge Wave anymore in this current meta. We get the Surf through, we're gonna put him low, and we see a Melmetal coming in. Very interesting there. I think this was actually the first battle that I played with this team, which was also kind of crazy. Again, like always, my battles get randomized. It's not in order from what I played. And yeah, this one is, I think, the first that I ever played with this team, which was definitely a spicier one. As we see here, the Melmetal, we can farm this thing down with our Marowak, getting some nice energy, and seeing now the opponent going into the Azumarill of their own. We can go into go for one Shadow Bone here, and I think I make a small mistake now with my own Azumarill here. As we see the Swampert coming in, I should have just tried to farm down, or I should have just let this move go through, but I'm gonna shield this move. It's going to be a Hydro Cannon, and I think this game is over. There's not a lot that I can do here anymore because they can let this move go through. They have a Water type with a shield against me. Without a shield, they even have an energy advantage against me. So this game going to be very rough to still win, but they reveal that they don't have the play rough, and this is a mistake, trainer. Do always run play rough in the current meta with Azumarill. It doesn't really matter if you run Ice Beam or Hydro Pump, it really depends on the team around it, but play rough needs to be like the standard moveset for Azumarill. As we see another Hydro Pump coming through, we're going to swap now into a Marowak. We know that they have Hydro Pump, but we also know that we can still get to a Shadow Bone before, which allows us now to put this thing in a very low range. They can go for their big Hydro Pump, but they're basically at 0 energy. We can go ahead, go for the Ice Beam in time before they can reach it, and we win this game here. Thanks for watching, see you in the next video, have a great rest of the day.